to What's Going On with Lady D today. I'm your host, Lady D. Join us every Thursday at 4 p.m. for another breakthrough conversation. Be a guest on our show, 216-571-2235. Well, welcome to What's Going On today with Lady D. And we have a wonderful guest in the house who's going to help you with your financial planning. Welcome, Michael Buer. He is our planner from Northwestern Mutual. How are you doing today?
I am doing great today, Lady D. Thank you so much for having me and giving me the opportunity to help your audience out.
Thank you. And I'm so glad that you're able to come on. And I would like for you to tell our listeners, just give them a little bit of information about who Michael Buer is.
Sure. So I work as a financial representative. I help people plan for saving strategies, and I help people plan for insurance solutions. Recently, I've been doing a lot of work helping people with their student loan circumstances, and finally, retirement's always on the front of people's minds. So I like to help them out with making sure that they can have a strong financial future and be set for retirement.
Awesome. So my first question for you will be is, what questions should one ask when they are looking for a financial planner or an advisor?
Oh my gosh, that's such a great question. So I always encourage people that it, just like anything else, like whether you're finding a barber or a doctor, it really is about finding the right fit. Everybody brings certain intangibles to the business and the profession. So you want to find that person that is the right fit for you. And the only way you could do that is by asking a lot of questions, like you said. So it's asking people about, what are your goals? What are your biggest priorities with a client? How do you help people? And, where really making certain that you can get to know that client and make sure that, their personal and professional and financial priorities mesh with the services you provide.
Now, it's because there's so much that's going on in the financial world. And, when you get to be a certain age, as young as 60, that, you're not so easy to trust.
Mm-hmm.
So should one consider doing a background check on your financial planner?
I absolutely encourage people, do the background check, make certain that they're licensed, that they are someone that is affiliated, with a larger institution. Like I do my work technically on my own business, but I do my work under Northwestern Mutual, which is a Fortune 90 company. We've been around since 1870. That's a strong background. There's other companies out there that have similar strong financial backgrounds. I always feel like learning is good, right?
Right.
But sometimes learning also requires you to vet, like you were saying, do the background check, and also make sure that trust but verify.
Great. And so now my next question would be is how, if you don't know the right questions to ask when you're getting into looking for your financial planning, and what advice do you give?
I always encourage people to, meet someone and just have a conversation. I feel that, you wouldn't go to a dinner party and not have a conversation. You wouldn't go on a first date and not have conversation leading up to it. And even that first date, treat your financial planner like a first date. And, not just courting and wooing you, but really get to know them and have them see what they want to know about you. Know about what your biggest priorities are. Where, do you have ask those questions about your family, your career. What are your goals? Because I know I can't build a plan, and I don't want to build a plan without knowing what is most important to you, because that requires some very honest conversation. And I never want to tell you something that might give you either a false sense of like, oh yeah, I'm all set, I'm fine, or oh my gosh, I'm overwhelmed. This isn't about a scare tactic, and it's also not about making you feel great. It really is about peeling the layers back and seeing, what do you have going on? Where do you want to go? And is there a way or two I could help you get there?
So, as you're speaking of how to get there, let me ask you, as a general rule, how many months in expense do a financial planner recommend that you set aside for an emergency fund?
Oh my gosh. It's so critical to have 3 to 6 months
Okay.
of emergency savings. And if you don't have emergency savings of 3 to 6 months, let's meet you where you're at and say, okay, let's get a savings of 1 month set aside. That way, if you do experience like the loss of a job, if you experience medical situation, if you're okay, the tires go on your car. That's not a cheap expense.
Right, right.
Rather than having to go to a credit card, having to go to the bank, having to go to, other sources for finances and for money, have that money set aside in emergency savings, and you can pull from that. Nobody likes that feeling of like, oh my gosh, I just had to pull a bunch of money out of my bank account. But I always remind people, isn't it better that you had it set aside
Yes.
than having to go and borrow it from someone else?
So you will work with them and show them how to set money aside?
Absolutely. One of the things we talk about with our clients is it's called the 20-60-20 plan.
Okay.
And different financial planners have different perspectives and but it's all around that area. And we work with people to let's identify and go through their budget, determine what are their fixed expenses. That means your mortgage, your rent, your car note. What do your groceries look like? What your utilities? I mean, great news I read this morning. If you pay for heat with your house with gas, it's going to be 21% lower than last winter.
Wow. Okay.
That's a huge savings.
Yeah.
If your home is heated by electricity, it's only going to be 1 or 2%. So it's not something you can change, but at least that's something we could factor in. Let's build a budget out. 20% of that money that you have coming in should go for savings or managing debt, paying down what you do owe. And then the last 20%, we always tell people, let's plan for the fun. And let's set aside the money so that way you can go to dinner, you can go out on a date, you can do the stuff that really brings us joy.
Right.
But when that money's gone, you have to stop.
Right.
Because you've budgeted and planned for it. It's not just a bottomless pit to pull from.
Excellent, excellent. So if you have too many credit cards, what should you do? Because, today everybody wants to give you a credit card, and we're coming up on holiday seasons.
Oh my gosh. That's
they give you these discounts if you sign up today for a credit card.
Yeah. I always laugh because you go into a store and they offer you 10%, like, oh, we could save you 10 or 15%. And I tell them, I'm paying for a pair of jeans. I'm paying for a pocket tee. You're going to save me $1.30. I don't feel that that's worthy of me taking out a credit card. But if you have a lot of credit debt, the first thing I always tell people is, if you hear an ad for credit card management, if it's on the radio, if it's on TV, they have to pay to advertise. They're making money. There are nonprofit agencies out there that I put my clients in touch with that if they're not ready to move forward with saving and planning for the big picture long term, and they have to fix some problems that are hanging over their head, I can put them in touch with nonprofit agencies.
Wow.
Because the nonprofits, they charge a very small setup fee, but it's in the name of the company. It's a nonprofit. They're not getting rich off you. they're really there as a service to help you. They have relationships with the credit card companies, with the banks. They can help you get a lower interest rate. They can build a structured plan in for you to make your payments so that the debt isn't compounding. It's not growing, and you can be out of debt and in a better financial grounding far sooner.
That's great. So there is light at the end of that tunnel.
Oh my gosh, yes.
All right. So now I want to ask you, so if a late payment is sent to the collection agency, how long will it remain on your credit history?
Ooh. That can be anywhere from 1 year to 3 year to 7 years. And you hate to think about making a mistake now and having to kind of hang over your head for 3 years, 7 years even. It can stay on your credit history. So if you do have a late payment, I think our first instinct is like, oh my gosh, I don't want to even look at it. I don't want to think about it, right?
Right.
You have to kind of swallow your pride, call that company. They will, most often, if you reach out and you provide an explanation and you can make a payment and make correction to it, it will stay off your credit history and it can help you out and stay in good standing with the company.
That's what because someone was telling me that you can write this letter and you can actually have it removed.
You can.
Does it cost to get it removed?
Most often it does not cost to get removed. Again, if people are charging you to do things with your finances, like helping with debt management. A lot of times companies will say that we can settle your debt. Well, you have to ask yourself, why would someone just take away half the money I owe them? That's not really if I was a business person, which I am, that doesn't make a lot of sound financial sense for me to say, okay, Lady D, you owe me $7,000. I'll take $2 and we'll call it even.
Yeah.
I'm nice, but I'm not that nice.
Right.
And someone's making money. So what happens is if you settle your debt, a lot of times that counts against you as income. It can count against you as income, and then you have to pay taxes on that money. That it's almost like if you owe my credit card company $7,000 and I say, okay, $2,000, we'll call it cool.
Okay.
That $5,000 is considered income sometimes, and you have to pay taxes on that.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I always say, like, if someone is carrying credit card debt, if they're carrying other debt, student loan, other financial, where things happen, life happens. You're not the first, you're not going to be the last, but talk to someone. Just have a conversation. Have a conversation with someone, and they can help you navigate those things.
Excellent, excellent. So what are the latest developments on student loans? Because I know at one time here, they were talking about they were going to wipe away student debt, and then now they're coming back and they're saying they can't do this. So what can a student do?
Oh my gosh, the student loan debt situation really has been a roller coaster for probably the last 2 years. And there was an initial announcement that people would receive anywhere from $10,000 to $20,000 worth of student loan debt forgiveness. That went to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court found that that was unlawful, so that didn't happen. However, the Department of Education revisited people's accounts.
Okay.
And what they did is they looked through for, irregularities, times where people should have received credit for making payments that they didn't, or they should have been in a program and they weren't because there's been so much confusion over the years. And unfortunately, it's a really big system with a lot of people involved in it. So that can make for a lot of challenges. But what they've done is they've provided people with a lot of kind of like an act of goodwill, and you should have been in this, but you weren't. We're going to give you credit for it.
Oh, okay.
And people have received notifications in the last couple of months that they qualify for a reduction in their student loans with, or they've been entirely forgiven. So I know people that have had student loans forgiven of $30,000, $40,000, $60,000 because the system wasn't giving them accurate credit for the payments they were making. But I always say that you don't, we never know what we don't know.
Right.
And have that conversation, reach out to someone, have a conversation with me. I can help you navigate that, or I can put you in touch with people that will help you navigate it. Because right now, if you call the number that the Fed provides for your federal student loan, you're going to be on hold for about 2 hours.
I can imagine.
And I mean, that's great if you want to watch a movie on Netflix while you wait on hold, but my time is pretty tight and valuable.
Right.
I don't think you want to spend your time doing that too. So there are systems that are out there and tools available that can help you navigate it faster, or at least give you the preliminary information so you go in ready to go rather than, I don't know where I'm at.
Would you tell our listeners how they can reach you?
So I am all over the place, believe it or not. Easiest way to reach me is just a phone call. Let's have a conversation. My phone number is 216-392-9380. I have email. It's michael.brewer@nm.com. I also am on Instagram. I love sharing different financial tips and strategies on Instagram, on Facebook. I just joined Threads last week, so that's pretty thin right now, but it's growing. But I love sharing. I just love sharing information. I love coaching people because, growing up, I was lucky to have good role models and people that coached me. But on the flip side, there were things that I didn't know about. And I always, that stays with you. So as lucky as I am that I had my mom, that I had my grandparents.
Right.
I also had people that I witnessed growing up that didn't have strong financial footing.
Okay.
So I always want to help people out in any way that I can. Even if it's just, I know people, I'll put you in touch with someone that can do that. I am not a Swiss Army knife. I'm talented and I'm skilled, but I'm not that talented and skilled. But I know a ton of people. And usually if I can't do it, I know someone that can.
And that's what it's all about, is knowing people and having conversations.
Mm-hmm.
But first of all, coming to terms that you need help.
That's
Because
it.
sometimes our pride can really put you so far behind
Oh my
because
gosh.
everybody doesn't want to let everybody know I'm having a financial situation, or I never had to do this before. Now what? So let's talk about, what is the age that we should be having these financial conversations and start planning for ourselves and our family?
Oh my gosh. 8 to 80. It really is a situation of, it's never too young. It's never too late, but it's never too soon. So, kids, you can have the basic conversations just about what things cost. I was in a meeting earlier today and I was talking with a guy, and the first thing I noticed was he had really cool Jordans. And truth be known, during the pandemic, I became a sneakerhead. And it became an interest of mine and a joy, and it's something. But when I talk to people about that, it's okay. How do we pay for those things? I love sneakers, but I don't pay for them unless I have the cash on hand.
Okay.
But find something that is relatable. If you're a parent, if you're a caregiver, and you're working with younger children, find out what's important to them and then quantify it, monetize it, put a dollar sign on it, and help them realize just what it takes to have that. Because we're really in a tough age right now where everything's digitized. I can Venmo you, I can Cash App you, I can transfer money, and it stops being tangible. It stops being something that we really understand because you're dealing with just a bunch of numbers.
Okay.
And sometimes they can become unrealistic. But when you start talking about, I want a pair of, Jordan 1 satin breads. Fabulous shoe just came out. What's it going to cost? Okay, well, if you're getting mids, it might be $150. How long do I have to work and save to get a pair of Jordan 1 mids in satin bread? Start putting time to money. If you can quantify time and connect it to money, that's when you start to get understanding. People are like, oh my gosh, I've got to do this much to get that. I don't want to work that hard. Okay, well, then you don't want it that badly. It's not that important.
So it comes down to understanding what's a priority and the difference in time and cost.
Right. But again, we talk about it's never too soon to plan. So have those conversations in your 20s about retirement. Have those conversations in your 30s. A lot of times people get to my age, they're 50, they're, or older, and they're saying, I'm not ready. I'm never going to be able to retire. You might not be able to retire to the lifestyle that you see on TV, but we can put things in place. It's never too late. We just have to have that honest conversation of where are you at, where you want to be, is that manageable, and what do we need to do?
Great. What type of services do you offer
Oh my gosh.
in your company, Northwestern Mutual?
So what's nice is that we get to tailor our services to the needs of our clients. So I help a lot of people just with saving strategies. I help people with insurance solutions. We touched on it earlier, student loan management.
Right.
That's so critical because people have had over 3 years of not having to pay it. And all of a sudden, it's kind of like the guest that showed up to dinner you didn't expect. And you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't think you were going to really do this. We have to navigate that. And then I help people with retirement strategies.
So how can, now is there a charge? Is there a consultation fee?
I do not charge consultation fees. I feel very strongly that financial literacy is so critical and it's so crucial, and it's something that hasn't been provided enough. So like those consultations, those conversations, they are not charged. I really just want to get to know people. I want to know what's important to them and how I can help them. If I can't help them, or if it's something that's like, hey, it's out of my league, I will absolutely tell them like, all right, this isn't my wheelhouse, but I know someone that can, or you should probably look to that. But I don't feel that anybody that is hungry for knowledge, hungry to improve, wants to like fix or rectify or improve something for themselves, should have to pay a penalty for it.
That is so true. And I agree with you. I know when I met you, you were talking about even working with the school teachers because of things that are changing for them and their retirement plans. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Oh, absolutely. So, STRS, student teacher retirement, they've kind of moved the goalposts a couple of times. Okay. And when I first started, I was in education before I became a financial planner, and you were able to retire at 60. Well, then it moved to 65. The amount that they would pay you if you retired changed too. When people were in education, they sign on and you're young, okay, you're taken care of. There's not a lot of flexibility to it. It's a one size fits all. But what people aren't realizing, they get deeper into the career and they realize, oh my gosh, I have to pay taxes on this. Oh my gosh, I thought I had more. I'm not going to have as much. So that's where you need to have that conversation of what are the other opportunities out there? What are other options that I can shore up my retirement so that I am on a strong financial ground?
Great. I want to ask you a question. What is a fee structure?
So a fee structure comes from, it depends on just what kind of work you're doing.
Okay.
Like, so, for myself, I don't charge for financial planning. Generally, people can charge somewhere between $1,000, $2,000, somewhere in the middle.
Okay.
But I feel like I said earlier, the learning and the knowledge and building a better future for yourself is so important so anybody that's watching the podcast, listening, if you reach out to me, you tell me I'm a friend of Lady D, we're cool. That's okay. That's how you kind of get in the club.
Okay, all right. See there.
Everybody's got a password, so you tell me Lady D, we're cool.
Okay,
you get in for free. But generally, my company compensates me, for the work I do when I help people out. It's not a situation of you have to give me X amount for me to do X, Y, and Z.
Now, the other question would be, when should one draw Social Security?
As late as possible.
Okay.
So
And why is that? I mean, I know
Right.
because of tax purposes and things.
Well, that's it. So, one, it's tax purposes. So if you have Social Security, if you have a 401k through your job, if you have other retirement vehicles, if you can begin drawing on those at 59 and a half, a little bit earlier under certain circumstances that, again, it all depends. But generally 59 and a half is the rule, 60 is the rule, without having to not only pay taxes, but penalties. So now I met with a client and they had a 401k just yesterday and said, well, we can help you with that. We could put you in a better position with that. We've got tools available. We have people available that can help you navigate that. And she said, no, I want the money. And I explained, you're going to pay taxes on that. You're only 42.
Wow.
Right. And you're 42, you're going to pay taxes and you're going to pay a penalty. And she was, nope, I want my money. At that point, I kind of look at it like someone says, I want to do this. I'm not your mom. I'm not your dad. I can't financially ground you.
Right.
At the end of the day, it's her choice. But the rule of thumb is really if it's something that you're using towards retirement, you want to wait till at least 60.
At least 60. Okay. Yeah. Good information. Very good information. Would you give our audience again your contact information and how they can reach you to come and learn more?
I would be more than happy to. So the key to it all is michael.brewer@nm. So that is my email is michael.brewer@nm.com. My Instagram is michael.brewer@nm. Same with my Facebook. And my phone number is 216-392-9380. And I love to help people have a stronger financial future.
That is tremendous. So reach out, get your financial planning in order today. Do not wait and put it off tomorrow. If you can do it today, do it today because this is what's going on. Welcome to What's Going On with Lady D today. I'm your host, Lady D. Join us every Thursday at 4 p.m. for another breakthrough conversation. Be a guest on our show, 216-571-2235.